now in the We Create EDU General, and great, we're live. Hey, what's up, everyone?
Hi.
So, hey, usually we have these channel reviews, and Jacqueline from the channel Side Joy does these. She isn't available right now. She is, I believe she's checking out some stuff for the Eclipse. Really cool, right? Solid excuse. So she asked me to fill in, and I'm actually here with Josie Gold of the channel Think About It.
Hi, guys.
Yeah. So we're gonna be doing this together, and this is a channel review of his channel, right? So,
Yes.
there's a playlist on We Create EDU of the other channels that we've reviewed. But yeah, today Josie and I are doing his channel. Think About It.
Hi, guys.
So yeah, I sort of talked about like myself. Do you want to just? I had said a couple things as an intro to Think About It, Josie. But since you're here, do you want to just give a little introduction of your channel, sort of for me and for whomever watches this video later on?
Sure. Well, hi. First of all, I'm Josie. Nice to see you guys, or I guess you're seeing me. And yeah, I run the channel Think About It. I started it about 6 months ago in January. Just because I spent way too much time in YouTube and might as well, make some videos out of them. And it's really, I'm like trying to figure it out. I do a lot of stuff from like anything that really makes my passion. I like astronomy. I like science. I like Pixar. I like jokes. So it's just a very, 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 very varied channel. And yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. So that's great. Hey, Jade in the chat. Nice to see you there.
Oh, hi, Jade.
Yeah, no, your channel's pretty varied, which is one of the things I like about it. That's similar with my channel and a lot of people, frankly, you see pop it up nowadays, right? But
Yes.
Great. So we can just so there were some things that you had told both Jacqueline and me beforehand that were some of your goals, right? And I actually wrote them down, so I can sort of read over them. So maybe we can just why don't I read them one by one, and you can just sort of expand on it a little if you want, or just say like, yeah, that's accurate. But okay. So one of the things you said was sort of, how can I make a more active comment section, right?
Yes. Currently, it's basically my mom.
Well, yeah, it's great that you have that maternal support.
But yeah, that's like, yeah, one of my goals is like to at least have like a conversation. I haven't really said anything. Be like, leave comments in the section, like leave comments down below. I haven't really done that yet, just because I don't know why. I haven't gotten to it when I was filming. I felt a little uncomfortable. It's too much of a classic YouTuber when I'm talking to basically my mom.
Well, okay, so I think we can sort of, I want to obviously come back to this, but I think a good way to sort of frame this would be to just mention the things you talked about, or some of the goals you mentioned initially, right? And then we can go over them one at a time. So, okay. How can I make a more active comment section, right? That can be number one.
Yes.
Another one you said was just general comments on your visual, audio presentation in terms of the videos you're creating, right?
Yeah, I know my equipment is not expensive. I sometimes use my phone. I sometimes use like a rented camera. I don't have like the most expensive equipment. I want to get through university first and then to that. So I know there's a limit to that. But if it's still enjoyable, if it's still watchable, I think you can get to that with a phone, for example.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. There's a lot of ways to make high quality or passable or high quality content on a budget, right? And I would never. Josie and I are each in our last couple of years of university. We're each 22,
yes.
And I would never advocate breaking your bank to make something look nicer, unless it was like a guaranteed profession.
Yes.
But okay, yeah. So comments on essentially visual and audio components. And you sort of talked about this already with your mom viewing your videos. But another thing you mentioned in one of your goals was like you talked about getting people to watch your videos for reasons other than that they know you, right? Like you said, your friends watch them, and I interpreted that as basically saying other people to watch the content I make, right? Is that like an incorrect interpretation?
Yes, that's a correct interpretation.
Yeah.
As like some random stranger like stumble upon the video and be like, that's something I would watch.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and that makes sense. That makes sense because that's kind of I mean, the question probably every YouTuber who wants to grow
Yeah,
asks themselves, right? That's like a pretty, that makes sense that you're asking that.
it's high up the list.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. And then one of the later goals you mentioned was essentially how can you create kind of like a cohesive experience or feel for your channel, even
Yes,
though there's a variation in topics and style, right?
yes, agreed. Those are
Awesome.
accurate statements.
Okay, cool. And so those seem to me, based on everything you said to Jacqueline and me, those seem to be your um, sort of the goals you wanted to most prioritize or were more interested in. Were there any
Yeah,
others you wanted to?
exactly.
Were there any other big ones you wanted to mention right off the bat here?
Well, of course, like the general ones, like thumbnails and like art and like anything.
Sure,
But
sure.
I think the biggest contributions that you slash the chat can make are to those goals.
Yeah, awesome. And I'm glad you mentioned the chat because obviously I'm on this end, but chat. If you have any ideas or thoughts or whatever, just type them out, and I'm keeping an eye on the chat. Do you actually have the chat open yourself, Josie?
I do not. I can open it either with my phone or.
So yeah, so I can actually. Well, do you know how to? I'll send you a link to this first.
Okay, I think I got it.
Okay, cool. Then I won't send you a link.
Okay.
And then just make sure you mute it too, so that the echo from that doesn't come in through your mic.
It's muted.
Cool. And then pin it. Awesome. Thank you, Kojito. Great.
Yeah, I just read. Thank you, Kogito. Hi.
Awesome. I'll actually write something right now then. So, all right. So first, thanks, and then if viewers have questions, suggestions, please say them. And then once I get a more, I actually don't see where the pin option is. Oh well. Once we get into more like actual substance, we can start talking about the question. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. However, I don't know where. However, I don't see where the option to pin a piece of chat is. But I'll let the chat help me out with that instead of spending this time on it. Okay, so yeah, so I can sort of just talk you through my understanding of the questions and sort of goals you had, and then what my thoughts were. Does that make sense to you?
That's perfect.
Cool. Okay, so first one you talked about was how can I make a more active comment section, right? And you sort of touched on this a little bit in what you said when we talked about this, but I think there are. Try to get some comments. Yeah, that's it. Yes, yeah, that's awesome. We'll get to that in a second, because I agree with that. There are a couple components to this question, right? So, like, obviously, you want to have a lot of engagement. It's just not even for the sake of YouTube. It helps with analytics, but you want to have engagement just because it's fun. We're not doing YouTube because. Yeah, we're not doing YouTube just because we want to grow. Like, it helps with the algorithm and people. If the more comments, I'm sure the better a video does. But obviously, you just want to generate discussion for that sense.
It's also nice to get some feedback on like what people actually think on like the video.
Yeah, of course. So okay, there's like a couple components to my sort of thought process on this, right? One is just the reality that you're a relatively new channel with few videos and not many subscribers and views, right? So yeah, Jade. I'll tell you right now is that unless you make something like super controversial, it's gonna take a while to build up and like get more comments, right?
So I'm okay with that. I know I need to grow my channel little by little.
Yeah, of course. And there's obviously more to my response than that, but that's sort of just one important caveat we have to keep in mind, right? Because like you can't just if you have like, I think it's, what do you have, like 130 or something like that subscribers, maybe 190, I forget what it was.
I think, yeah, it's small, it's fine.
yeah. But like, yeah, it's just, I'm glad you just have a realistic expectation of that, is I guess what I'm coming from.
Yeah, I know.
So I guess the next thing I would have said is that sort of what Jade is saying, sort of what you were saying a little before. So, if you like engage with your viewers, right? So interact with them in a sense. And that can be something like, hey, I talked about this thing in the video. Do you like, it depends on what you're talking about, right? It could be, hey, I mentioned this viewpoint in the video. Do you agree with this? Why not? I would really like to hear your thoughts on this. Or maybe it's a scientific thing, And then you might say something like, do you have any other examples of stuff that exhibits this principle or where this happens, right? Like talking about building a speakers, you could be, you could always ask people like, what are other things that you think what are other things you might think are difficult to build or maybe easy, or like what other places use the same principles that I talked about here, right?
Okay.
So just trying to, kind of like Jade says, you don't want to ask a question that's like think
out
about
of
this
the blue.
video. Yeah. But it doesn't want to be too vague, right? Like the more specific, the better, I think. Like if you say, what do you think about this? That people go, oh, I have a very specific thing I can respond to, right? And now I can type away.
Do you
kind of like what Jay was saying.
Do you normally do it like
What was that?
at the end of the video, like as a conclusion, as like, what do you guys think about this? Or do you do it in the middle of the video, for example, when I'm like describing what's gonna happen or like what I'm doing, be like, hey, what do you think will happen? Or what do you think is like, what's your opinion as to like how do you handle stuff? I don't know.
In terms
like,
of
it's
when
instead of
was
at
the
the end
question?
of. Yeah, exactly. In terms of like the video.
Well, yeah. So
Do you think?
So I think for me,
sorry.
no problem. I think for me, it's really video dependent, and
Okay.
that's not as satisfying as like a do it at this point. But for example, I made a video, my most recent video on my channel. I get to the end, and I'm talking about something unrelated to the video, and I said, hey, by the way, I know the video wasn't about this, but I also learned this one thing, and I think it happens for this reason, but I'm not sure. I would love to learn more about this if you could explain it in the comments. And that was a point where it made sense to end the video or ask a question at the end, because it was an unrelated thing. It was a little related to the topic I was talking about, but it was a little more unrelated, right? And then in another instance, I had a video where I was talking about how to draw shapes without picking up your pencil, so graph theory. And
yeah, I remember that one.
Part of the video was introducing the concept that some shapes can be drawn in one single stroke and others can't, right? And so in the beginning of that video, I said 2 of these shapes can be drawn with one single stroke and one can't. Take a minute now, pause this, try to figure out and comment with what your thoughts. And so in that instance, I asked a question, or rather I asked for some sort of audience interaction or engagement in like the first minute.
Mm-hmm.
But I did it there because it fit with the narrative of the story I was trying to tell, right? Part of the way I introduced the concept was to show people like this isn't necessarily an intuitive or common sense thing, and to prove my point, why don't you try it, right? So
okay.
Yeah. So I think like it's always really good to engage the audience in some way. And to be honest, that's something that I'm still trying to work on too, right? Like if I'm
we're all this together.
Yeah. Oh God, I don't want you sitting at the other end of this call and thinking like, oh, this guy knows it all, because I don't, right? Like we're all still learning this together. We're all still trying to figure this out. Regardless of the level of confidence with which I speak, we probably know just as much. But I'm just talking about my, right? So in terms of like when to ask a question, I think it's more a question of when does it naturally fit into the story you're trying to tell?
Okay.
It has to be a question. It could be more engagement. Like in that video I was talking about with the shapes and the lines, there was one part where I said like, hey, if you can list, because that'd be really cool. And then I gave people a little certificate or something for doing it. But yeah, so I think that might come with a bit of trial and error. I think the big question is just how does it fit into the narrative? Like what's the message you want to get across, and how do you want to get it across? And then how do the people watching your video fit into that?
Okay.
And then something else I noticed. Yeah, and so I noticed this. I noticed on your earlier videos when people would comment, they'd say stuff like, "Oh, hey, this is cool. Subscribed," or something like that, right? I noticed you'd respond and be like, "Thanks," or something to that effect. And I noticed with your newer videos, you haven't responded to as many people leaving comments. And so something else I would just say, maybe you were getting around to it, maybe you just got busy, maybe you forgot. But something else I would say is,
I think I forget. I normally tend to like look at it and like, oh, I'll respond later, and then like 2 weeks happen. I'm like, oh, I need to respond.
Yeah. And frankly, dude, YouTube used to send email notifications for comments, and unless I check something off, mess something up, they've stopped. Because I also have a bunch of comments that I haven't responded to that I would have otherwise, which I just didn't know about because
They didn't send you an email.
YouTube didn't tell me. So yeah, that's always just something to like, especially when you have, 4 or 5 comments per video. I think it's really cool when creators acknowledge the people who are enjoying their content. And and so like at the bare minimum, I would just say something like glad you enjoyed it. And then, if you want to, you can certainly say something like, hey, I'm really glad you enjoyed it. Which part did you enjoy the most? Or like, what did you think about blah, blah, blah? And so that's a way to sort of have more interaction and gather feedback. Yeah. And so obviously, like, once you start getting something like 40 to 50 to 100 to 300 comments in a video, that's not like feasible.
Soon.
Yeah, right? No, that's the goal. But like, especially at this early stage when the amount of people viewing and commenting your videos is so manageable and countable.
Yeah.
I personally, like when I was sort of at that size, I made every effort to interact with them. Even if it was something as small as, thanks for watching the video, I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Okay.
And because something else I noticed too was on the newer videos, hang on, let me actually share my screen and oops, no, I turned the camera off. That wasn't share screen. Oh, here's share screen share. There we go. Okay, so I'll just show you what I mean. So like, okay, hang on. So one of your videos, I'll just think. I don't need to think about its speakers because
yeah, that's a biggest one, or like how speakers work. Let's see. Can you find it? That'll be good for my analytics.
Oops. Oh no, how speakers. Okay, well if I can't find it now, I'll just move on. But here we go. Okay, so you can sort of see here, right? So there's like once this loads, you can see that you've responded to these, right? Reply. There's Up and Adam. Thanks, Jade. So that's awesome. And then if you sort of look at your more recent stuff, like this one, for example, I noticed that you loved certain comments but didn't reply to them, right?
I remember that. I was at work. I was forgot. Damn it. Good catch.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, and that's totally fine, right? But like, I guess it was just interesting to me that like you clearly acknowledge them. Oh boy. There we go. I had a Cartesian window for a sec. But yeah, like you sort of acknowledge them, but didn't really reply. And I mean, even a love is like fine, but I don't know. I personally I think it's easy to just.
It was mostly those two. That was a clear example of my mom and my uncle commenting.
Well, then that's fine. I didn't know that was your mom and uncle. That's generally fine. But it is cool to sort of see the creator like have that back and forth. That's my personal take on it.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. At least like for example to you, where like you can see the creator commenting.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna write in the chat. So we can move on, I think. So like, next topic. Oh, did you have any other thoughts on that before we moved on?
I think we covered it pretty well. Some good.
Cool. Sweet. Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna write. Wait, let me just make sure I got everything Jade mentioned. Also, if you ask a question at the end of the video, your response in the comments, try to make it basic, vague, or obvious. Yeah, like, yeah.
Controversial topics.
Yeah, well, one of my friends actually doesn't anymore, but used to ask videos or questions at the end of his video where he'd do like a 20-minute complex, and then at the end give a question like, "What did you think about this?" And in my mind, I'd be like, "That's so." I mean, it's great to get their feedback, but that seems really vague. So I don't know. I personally prefer to ask more specific questions that sort of like I mentioned before. Like they're not questions for the sake of asking questions. They're questions for the sake of like enhancing the narrative of your piece.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So okay, next I'm writing in the chat. Next topic, comment on. Think about it. Visual audio components. Okay, cool. So obviously this would be tough for people who haven't seen his videos, but so I watched like probably about like 6 or 7 of your videos today, and something like was really interesting to me. In some of your videos, the camera and microphone are really crappy, and in some of them they're
Yeah.
great.
Yeah,
And I'm
that.
curious what's going on.
So my first video was I just took my phone
Hmm.
and I just filmed it, and then I started using rental cameras from a university,
Sure.
and they had no microphone, so I had to use like the shitty microphone from the cameras. And then while renting, they switched the cameras up, so I had like another camera,
Hmm.
and then I like bought like a nice little cheap mic that I would use in those like last 2-3 videos.
Okay.
And
So,
then now that I'm not in university, I'm using my phone again.
okay. So, oh shoot, whoops. I accidentally X'd out of the chat. Okay. So let me ask you, for example, what did you? Okay, your most recent video was the video about like revolving around the Earth, right, or the sun, or that. What did you film that on? Like, what are you using? Was that a phone? What are you using right now? Hey, Josie, can you hear me? Oh no, what's going on? Hmm. Is Josie Chat? Am I still here? Can y'all say something? Uh-oh. Hmm. Um. If anyone could just give me a little. Oh no! He just left. I just got your message, Jade. Um. All right. Well, I hope Josie comes back soon, but I'm not going to. I'll try contacting him, but I'll keep going, just giving my thoughts about what I would have said here, since that's the point of this anyway. Um, so if you watch some of Josie's earlier videos, like they they alternate wildly between quality of camera and mic. Like Josie talked about how on his very first video, which was the intro to his channel, he used his phone, and then he's been borrowing cameras and whatever from university. And so I don't know what Josie, excuse me, you used to film the most recent video you did, but the quality of camera and microphone is much better on your intro video to your channel than it is on the most recent video you put up. And this is kind of what I was talking about before with making quality content on a budget, right? Like the quality of both video and audio in your very first video, which you said you filmed on your phone, is much better than the most recent thing you filmed. Um, so I'm not exactly sure what camera you're using, but I personally would just recommend you use your phone. Like even in the recent video you did, which hang on, I wrote it down. Which one was it? Even in the video you did about the potato fries, the camera, the visual and audio quality was relatively poor throughout the video. But then there was a section where you were tasting them with your sister, and that had really good visual and audio quality. And if I had to guess, that would be your or your sister's phone. So in terms of production and presentation, value, quality, whatever you want to call it, I mean, like it'd be great to have you here for this part, but it seems like if you would just be using your phone, that would be a lot better. Like honestly, all you have to do for this part, Josie, is just look back at your videos. Like if you watch your most recent video, the camera and audio quality is just not that good. And if you watch your very first video, you say you filmed that with your phone, but it's better than that. And so I get that we're like making videos more professionally, but you don't have to, you shouldn't fall into the trap of thinking, oh, this phone has a camera, but it's built for many other things, right? So it's not necessarily what I should use. Because let me tell you something. I have like a $500 DSLR and a relatively expensive microphone. And like I know without a doubt that like pretty much all new phones have better cameras than my phone. Like yeah, pretty much all new phones have better cameras than my DSLR, And the microphone, well, it may not be better.
Yeah.
It's
I'm here.
Oh, hey.
I'm back. Sorry, my internet just went out.
Oh,
It's
hey.
weird.
Did you hear any of the things I just said?
No.
Okay, I'll give a summary for you because I was just speaking. But okay, sorry, your internet went out, but glad you're still here.
It's fine. Turn my
Anyway,
camera on.
so yeah, so one of the things I was just saying, which sort of Cogito is sort of saying in the chat right now, and what I was saying for the past 5 or so minutes is that, so Josie, you were talking about how we were talking about your audio and visual presentation, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so in the very first video you made for your channel, the intro, that had relatively decent like audio and visual presentation, and I'm gonna guess you just recorded that with like an iPhone or smartphone or something.
Yeah,
And
Nexus 5.
okay, yeah, cool. And the most recent video you uploaded about why the sun or Earth, or I mean, why things don't revolve around, like how you can tell not everything revolves around the Earth or sun,
Yeah.
like that quality isn't as good as the very first video you uploaded to YouTube.
Really?
Oh yeah, no, it's like you should really go back and watch it. It's like very clear, especially the audio. There's like tons of clipping whenever you speak. With the most recent video you've uploaded, it's like that was
okay. I've been like tinkering around with like audio filters and like trying to make it better, and I can't hear it. I have bad hearing or something. But
okay.
you liked the first video, for example, better.
Okay,
It
so
had
let me
better
tell you
audio?
where I saw. Yeah, oh my, without a doubt. I mean, if you have hearing issues, then maybe it'd be tougher for. And now I sound like a jerk saying go back and listen to it yourself. But like if you do have hearing issues, then perhaps that's part of the reason why you weren't as good at noticing that. But like,
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty obvious to me, and people in the chat, let me know if you disagree. But like, it was very, very clear to me that like your intro video had better quality than about half the videos I watched. And what else is, yeah, something else that's really interesting. Okay, your video about the potato fries, right?
Yeah, that was pretty shitty. I don't know what happened. I tried using another camera. I know that was bad.
Well, okay, let me ask you something. What was, okay, yeah, so the camera quality and mic quality on that was not very good. But there was one portion of the video where it actually had really good camera and mic quality. Do you know what that portion was?
Yeah, I was using my dad's camera.
Yeah, and so was that when you were eating fries with your sister?
Yes.
Yeah, and so that's, when you say dad's camera, do you mean like a phone or was it actually like a camera?
No, it's his camera.
Okay, so a camera. Okay, so yeah, it looked really good there.
Yeah. Yeah, and
but
then I realized when I filmed it, like the stark contrast between like my filming and my dad's filming like really puts people off. It put me off.
Well, I think the thing that's just so interesting about this is your phone is fine. But actually, wait, before I go any further, what are you using to film currently? What did you use to film the last video you made, the one where you were walking around in the forest looking thing?
I used my phone and like just holding it. And then I had like a cheap mic. Maybe the mic's the problem. I don't know.
So, okay. Yeah, I'm actually surprised to hear you say you use the same phone. So maybe that was just the lighting of the outside, but the mic you used was like way worse than your phone's natural.
Okay.
Yeah, and so that was
that's good. I didn't notice that.
Yeah, I mean, let me just like, I don't want to give you really bad advice. Let me just watch it again really quickly to make sure I know what I'm talking about. Just give me a sec here.
Yeah, like the first one is how to measure Earth.
Yeah, how can you show that not everything revolves on Earth? Now, hang on. Oops. Wait, I'm sorry. Wasn't the first one the intro to think about it, not how to measure Earth?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that one. But I was using the same phone.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, I just watched them again right now. Without a doubt, the camera or excuse me, sorry, the microphone in your phone was way better than whatever mic you put into your phone for the most recent video you did. Oh, yeah, without a doubt.
Okay. I also like tinkered with the audio. Maybe that's why too. I don't know.
How did you tinker with it?
I used Audacity. Or for example, did you watch the one about Up?
I did.
Was that good audio?
I think I thought it was. Let me just rewatch the like first 2 seconds again to remind myself.
Fine. It's fine. You don't have to remember it by heart. It's
It was better than the everything revolving around the Earth, but worse than the intro video, is what I thought. I just
Interesting.
watched the game right now. Yeah. How did you tinker with it? What did you do?
I use the same microphone, but then I think I tinkered a little with the audio in Audacity. I forgot what I did.
Yeah, I mean, so here's what I would do for you moving forward with this microphone thing, right? From what I can tell here, I think, like, you said you have a Nexus, right?
I have a Nexus 5,
Yeah,
yes.
cool. I don't honestly know much about Nexuses, but if they're anything like modern smartphones, they probably have a good camera and microphone. What I would do in your shoes, honestly, is
Just use the phone.
so I was about to say that, but what I'm gonna say is like ask your family what they think of the quality. Spend like you could spend one day or even just 1 hour and record like the same sentence 3 times with your microphone and then with just your camera, but like with like the plug-in microphone and then just your normal camera microphone and record the same sentence 3 times inside and outside. So you'll have a total of like 12 sentences, right? Or while walking or while sitting. And you can
Okay.
spend an hour and do them all, and then, or actually maybe if you have some hearing issues, like you said, maybe you could ask members of your family to listen to them, right? But
Yeah.
yeah, it does sound to me like it seems relatively obvious to me that the mic on your natural phone just works a lot better. But I don't want to just say like 100% go with that. Like
No,
maybe do a little bit of testing.
it's fine. Like a different opinion always matters. Like for me, it
Oh,
was really hard to notice these small things. So something like this always helps.
yeah. And so, and no, and I mean, like from what I can tell, it seems to me a lot like the normal microphone in your phone is just a lot better. But get your family's opinion. You can like test them out in different scenarios because that's sort of what I got from it, right?
Do you think like I could invest like in an external mic and like a lav mic and like always record audio externally?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that's a good idea?
Wait, I'm sorry. Do you mind saying that again? I was reading Kojito's comments in the chat.
It's fine. Well, he has a good channel, so like listen to him.
Well, no. What did you say though? I just didn't hear you. Is all.
Okay. Yeah, I was maybe thinking of buying like a lav mic and like have like an external audio recorder and use that instead.
Yeah.
Like, if that's an investment that's worth it, do you think?
So, again, you should probably get more opinions on this than just mine, but I personally think you sound like very clear and totally fine in your intro video.
Okay.
Like, I don't know how well you'd sound with the lav mic, and you don't yet either.
Yeah.
But I personally think that's not an investment that is worth making, at least right now.
Okay.
Yeah. But okay, so that was a lot about the audio and visuals, and then we didn't really talk about the visuals. Sorry. So I guess it seems like there are a lot of bright spots sometimes in your shooting. Maybe that's a result of the phone's camera. Maybe it's a result of like the way you color correct or don't in post.
I don't color correct. I'm not sure how to.
Yeah, I typically
I'm very new at this.
Yeah, that's fair. What do you use to edit your stuff right now?
Right now, I use Premiere Pro.
Okay, so I use Final Cut, so I'm not familiar with Premiere, but I know 100% that it has color correction options.
Yeah, like it probably does. It's a good program.
Oh, it definitely does, without a doubt. And I just don't know how to use them, but that's what YouTube's for. So that's like the phone camera. I mean, the phone camera seems fine in some circumstances, like in your intro video, it's totally fine. And yet in the beginning of the potato video, it seems a little like fuzzy. Maybe that was a focus issue. But
yeah, the potato video is like the worst. I know that.
Yeah, and then also in the video where you're like walking around, right? It's certainly not bad quality, but it is a little like, it seems a little like bright and sort of spotty in a sense.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm sure that's nothing that I think that's more a result of the camera constantly like changing its focus because you're outside. But honestly, I'm watching it again, and it's certainly not bad. Maybe a tiny bit of color correction on Premiere would be fine. So I think in terms of visuals, you're generally fine.
Okay, it's the audio that I need to work on.
I've heard multiple times from many different people that when you're starting out, audio is a lot more important than visuals, and I would agree. Like, not drastically more important, but definitely more important.
Yeah.
But yeah, it felt like when I was watching your most recent video, it felt like I was listening to like TV from the 1950s. And I don't mean that in a mean way, but like that was the quality of the mic, right?
No, it's fine.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. And
because
so
I can.
Kojito
Yeah,
and
I
Kojito
read
in
his
the chat.
comments.
Yeah,
If
okay,
you can
gotcha, yeah.
please send me stuff.
Yeah, and so we
Yes,
can
Kojito.
yeah, we can like transport that info in the Slack. Let me get that. Okay, cool.
Thank you very much, by the way, Kojito.
Yes. Great. And so, okay, so you mentioned before we moved on, which is like you said, how do I get this video to be viewed by people who don't already know me, which is the thing you mentioned next.
Yeah.
Before we moved on, you talked about like your visual audio components, right? Something else you mentioned was sort of just your general presentation style, right?
Yeah. Well, like I started blank. I had no idea what I was doing. I kind of still don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah. So I have sort of two thoughts on that.
Yes, please.
Oh, my headphones unplugged. Actually, I have three thoughts. Let me write them down now, just so I don't forget them. So it's like voice, cuts, and time. Okay. So I guess one of the things I noticed first. Oh, let me put this in the chat so I know what we're talking about.
Yeah. I don't see anything. It's just the Audacity thing.
Sorry, what are you talking about?
Yeah,
What did you mention, Josie?
No, I was just reading the chat too. I have it on my phone.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, no, sorry. I just said I was going to put what we're now going to be talking about in the chat.
Perfect.
But cool. So, really just two things I noticed about your presentation style. So, the first is that there's a lot of dead space. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of time in your videos where nothing is being said or happening. And in normal conversation, like what we're having now, that's appropriate and normal, right? And keep in mind, this is all opinion-based, right? Like different people would disagree with what I'm about to say, but this is my interpretation of it. In normal conversation, the sort of dead space we have is normal. It's like it gives us time to think about what we want to say. It gives us time to respond. However, when you're putting out a video that you've researched and written a script for and edited, you don't really want silence to be there unless there's a reason for it. Like if you're making a joke or something. But like, there were a bunch of instances in a lot of your videos I watched where there would be kind of like a second or two long pauses between you saying certain sentences. And obviously that's not a lot of time, right? But it's kind of just awkward in a sense. Because like you're watching this thing that someone else is prepared, and then you sort of see them take this like break, and you're thinking like, that's weird. Why doesn't this just keep still going? And there was even in the speaker video, I didn't write the timestamp down, but there was one moment where like you very clearly should have made a cut but didn't because you sort of misspoke and you said something like, so that thing wanted to like whatever you were saying, right? You sort of reset it, and I'm watching this and I'm like, why didn't he just cut that out?
Okay.
Yeah. And
so
like
I'm learning through it. I remember the very first videos were not scripted, and they were just me trying to like rant it out. The past couple ones have been a lot more scripted.
Yeah, and so that's good. I think that's a good way to go. But even if you don't script a video, even if you do it all in one take, which if it works for you, great. That's not how I do it. But even if you do it all in one take, you can still edit it, right? Like you can make one continuous take still look like a bunch of different clips just by editing out dead space.
Okay.
Sometimes in my videos, when I'm editing them, I'll have noticed that I'll say something and I'll take a pause while saying it, which was either because I was like trying to figure out a better way to say it or for whatever reason, right? And there have been a bunch of times where I've just taken space out of the pauses that exist in my videos. Like, so you know who the Vlogbrothers are, right? Like, do you watch
Yeah,
their
of course.
videos?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like a bunch of jump cuts.
yeah. And so I'm not necessarily saying you need to like do that many or shift your physical location. You can if you want to, right? I'm not saying
Yeah,
you need to do that. But think about like how much information is conveyed because of how little dead space there is, right? Think about how quickly one sentence starts after the other ends.
yeah.
And again, I'm not saying
Okay.
that you should do it at that speed because sometimes it's, and this is like, I guess a critique I'm now giving the Vlogbrothers, right? Sometimes it's like too quick for me and I have to pause it or go back, or sometimes I have to like think about, okay, what did they just say? But you definitely want to be somewhere in between them and where you are now.
Okay.
Like just like
Yeah,
yeah,
that's a good idea.
yeah, like something you could do is just sort of watch how the Vlogbrothers present, like watch their speaking style. You could also do this with my videos because I've been very inspired by them, and you can probably tell because of the way I'm speaking right now that this is just how I speak. Um, but like something you could do is sort of watch their videos and watch how they say things and watch how you say things. And
Okay.
it's not even a matter of how quickly do you speak. It's a matter of how much space do you leave between ideas and sentences, right? Because you could speak like this and go to a next sentence, or you could speak like this and go to a next sentence. And there's still like no space between them. And
I know what you're
it's,
saying.
yeah, right? And so that's sort of what I would say. Um,
That's good. Okay.
um, yeah, so that's kind of what I'd say about that. And then I guess the other thing is, so I said I had two things about your like presentation style, right? So the first is that I would use more edits to reduce the time between the ideas you're presenting.
Okay.
And the other one was, so this is something that all of us go through, right? But I think it like you can sort of tell from watching your videos that you haven't really found your voice or your style or your preferred way of presenting, right?
I definitely have not.
Yeah, and so like that you shouldn't feel bad about that because I still don't feel entirely confident that I have found mine after having been on YouTube for more than 3 years, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
yeah, and so there isn't much I can tell you in regards. There isn't like much I can tell you that'll help you, other than it comes slowly as you do it more. But that was just something else I noticed. Like you didn't yet seem to be too confident in your own style of presentation and what you were saying.
No, definitely not. And even when
Um,
I'm recording, I'm like, oh, like, should I say it like this? Should I say it like that? How do I express it? Like, it's still,
mhm.
I know it that I'm still trying to find it. And like, I think this last one, the one about the revolving about Earth, I think I was a
Mhm.
little bit more comfortable, but I know there's still stuff. I did like a lot of different takes with a lot of different tones, with a lot of different like facial expressions, like hand expressions.
Yeah.
I'm still not comfortable in front of camera yet, and I know that. But I think
Yeah,
that's
and
only with
a big
practice.
part of it too, a big part of it too is understanding what people expect of you and the kind of person you portray yourself to be through YouTube, right?
Yeah,
And so considering you're super new and still growing, this is a thing you're learning. And that's very obvious. And I'm not saying like, I'm not, I still have the same thing. A lot of us still are working on the same issue. So it's not a simple fix thing. It's more like just sort of learn it as you do it.
yeah,
That's how I view it.
I
But so
think
I just letting you, it's just you're aware that you sort of also that is an obstacle, or at least like a checkpoint on the way.
yeah. What I've been thinking is like as I do more and more videos, I found like for example with my first video, I was still uncomfortable. I wasn't sure how to do it. Like little by little, I started like knowing how to do it and like what I think works best for me. But I think that's just with practice that I can get to
Yeah,
it.
yeah, and that makes a lot of sense. Okay, cool. So we'll move on because I didn't realize I didn't realize this had already been going for like 45 minutes. That's crazy. But great. So
No, that's good. A lot of experience for me.
yeah, okay. So next
Constructive
topic, and
criticism.
I'm saying this as I type it in the chat. So next topic, and like, so I'm gonna. How can Josie? Oops. How
Yeah,
can
chat.
Josie
If you
like?
have anything, you probably haven't watched all my videos, and it's fine. But if you have anything to comment, it's all good. Constructive criticism is the best.
I'm saying, how can Josie create a feel like a feel for his channel. I'll say a consistent feel for his channel while having variation in topics and style. Okay. Did I summarize that well? Is that accurate?
That is well. Like what I was trying to say is like I want to cover a lot of topics. I'd like just talking about random stuff. It's not like I just want to talk about physics. I just want to talk about engineering. Sometimes I want to talk about, for example, up. I really like doing the up one. I'm gonna do more of those because I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I actually really like that. That was probably my favorite one of yours that I watched too. I enjoyed that a lot.
I think that's still one of my favorite ones I've done.
Yeah. Cool. So, I mean, the first part, this is like a two-part question, right? Because it's talking about variation in topics and variation in style. The first part is a super simple and easy answer, which is the variation in topics does not matter. Like, I mean, you know, you can look at people like Tom Scott or
I was gonna say Tom Scott.
yeah, like you can look at Vsauce. You can look at Alex Nickel, who's like smaller but still, you know, getting up there with 35K or whatever. Like they all talk about very, very different things from video to video, and people don't care because it's interesting and they like know the person. They've been with this person for a while, so I don't think you really need to worry about
the topic. Okay.
The variation of topic. The variation of style is a more interesting question though, because I remember you said the last, and I checked out your last 4 videos because you said in the chat with me your last 4 videos all had a different style, right?
Yeah. So like my last one was like I did like the flash video, then I did the potato video, which sucked.
It was the quality of the camera, but the actual video didn't suck.
It's the runt of the family. It's okay. Then I did.
But yeah, so
I did Up, which was like narrated, and then I did like the vlog style. I did that on purpose because I wanted to explore a little bit. I wanted to let like creative juices flow, and like see other ways to create videos. But I enjoyed the process of that, and I'm not sure if I want to settle down on one style.
So yeah, let me. This is sort of what I was going to get at, and what I was about to ask you. So, you know, the revolving around Earth video was kind of like a walking vlog, kind of like some of the videos Veritasium
it was like Veritasium on his main. Type.
Yeah, exactly, or his Veritasium 2 channel. The Up video was basically like, all just like a CGP Grey video, kind of.
I was basing it on like Nerd Writer.
Yeah. Okay. So, but essentially, though, like your face wasn't really shown; it was just all images while explaining happened, right?
Yeah.
The potato fries video seems to be, from what I can tell, more normal for the style of the content you put on your channel, where it's kind of like you're standing or sitting, but you're sort of talking and there are cuts, and then you do something else later. But generally, you're kind of like standing in front of the camera, right?
Yes.
And then the library is the flash. That seemed more like a comedy video where
it was.
Yeah, and when you're doing sketch comedy, like any style goes because it depends on what you're trying to like present or do.
But yeah, so like it's more of like I left a little bit of the science out, and I just really wanted to run as a flash in the library. That's
I mean, you do you, right? I liked it. It was fun. So let me ask you a question. So
yes,
I'm gonna disregard the flash video because that seems more like a comedy sketch that you wanted to do, right? And I'm gonna focus more on the sort of information transfer videos, which were like the Up video, the potato fries, the revolving around Earth. And Koji Chat, thanks for your comment. We're gonna
I haven't seen it yet.
Talk about that in a second. Oh no, he just mentioned ways to make a consistent shot.
Okay.
But so let me ask you something. Which of these styles were you, okay? And this is with the Nerd Writer style, the Veritasium style, and then quote unquote your normal style. Which of these styles were you happiest with, and why did you experiment with these other styles to begin with? That's an important part of like what my opinion is on this.
So like first of all, I started this channel because I needed like a creative flow, you know, like I needed to like let out my creativity. It's also, since I spend so much time on YouTube, it's nice to know like how things work and how to make a YouTube video, and like how it gives you an appreciation for like good YouTube videos.
Yeah.
And I really like Nerd Writer. I really like Veritasium, and like all of those, again, it's still trying to like find my style and find what I feel comfortable with.
Gotcha.
So that's like one of the reasons as to why I was experimenting.
Gotcha. So here, I'll tell you. I think the one where you were the Veritasium one where you were walking. I thought that was pretty similar to the like in
So like,
terms of framing. That's pretty similar to your normal style, just that you're walking, and because you still had cutaways to graphics and stuff that you drew
yeah,
or took pictures of online or animated, right?
yeah.
I think the only one that was significantly different was the Nerdwriter one, and
Yes, I just really wanted to test around and like see how it works,
yeah,
and I
and
really
that's
enjoyed it.
fine. Hey, yeah, and that's totally fine. So I think like in terms of shoot, hang on. What I was about to say was yeah, I mean your style is I don't know. It's a tough question to answer in a sense
It is.
because
I know.
you can really do this is like your channel. You can do whatever you want. And in a lot of ways, the same way that you'll eventually find your presentation voice through doing this more, you'll eventually find your style. Like you are doing the right thing, which is you should experiment in the beginning. You should try a bunch of different things because you might enter YouTube thinking, oh, I'm going to like this. And then you try this other, maybe you try the Nerdwriter style and you go, oh, this is really cool. So I think that you're doing the right thing by experimenting. Um, Let me ask you something. In terms of the research and script writing and filming and editing of the 3 videos we're talking about right now, which was the most fun? Not based on the content, but based on like actually filming it and then editing it, which was the most fun for you?
I enjoyed filming the walking video,
Mm-hmm.
and I enjoyed editing the up video.
I had a feeling you were going to say that. So, um, do you know Step Back or Tristan from Step Back History?
Yeah. I'm subscribed.
Yeah. So same. I think
What?
so. He recently, so his videos were all animated, and he recently started showing his face to.
Yeah, I remember. It was a thing in the Slack too.
Yeah. He recently started showing his face to sort of, partially because he wanted to, partially because I'm gonna guess it just made a lot of stuff easier for him. And I think like there are ways to do anything that you want with your styles, right? Because in the Veritasium 2 video, that's what I'm going to call it now, right? The Veritasium 2 video and your normal
It's
one,
fine.
you are basically showing your face. And whether you're walking or standing, you're alternating between showing your face and then showing some other graphics or some other scenes, right? And in the Nerdwriter video,
Okay.
you basically just had the animations. And then actually, before I go any further, I personally think that if people are going to do a video with actually, you know what? I'll save that comment for later. Sorry about that. So like you had those two, you had the Veritasium 2 video and then your normal video where you're showing your face and have some graphics. And with the Nerdwriter video, you could have, if you'd wanted to, you could have shown your face for portions of that, like if you didn't want to edit certain parts. But I think it seems to me like based off the stuff you've done, the thing you enjoy
Yeah.
doing most is like having your face in at least some of it, right?
I like I'm not gonna lie, I really enjoyed, I don't know if you remember it clearly, but I really enjoyed doing like faking the voices of like Lassiter and Pete Doctor. I don't know if you remember it or if you saw the entire video. I really
Wait
enjoyed
for.
doing that. I enjoyed the
Oh yeah.
for the up
Gotcha,
video.
gotcha.
Like I
Okay,
enjoyed
cool.
the build up to it, and I enjoyed actually making the joke.
Mhm.
No matter if it was with my face on it or my voice on it.
Yeah. I think yeah. So I think I'm gonna try to move this along in the interest of time. But I think like my sort of opinion on this. Oh, is it getting really dark on my end? Oh, it's getting a little dark. Hang on, because it's getting it's
There
getting
you go.
darker outside. Um, okay. Whew. I think really you should sort of do whatever you want. I mean, like
Thanks.
the walking around is fine. The you standing still is fine. And the Nerdwriter style is fine. Like if you want to do more editing, you should do that. If you want to mix it up and show your face more, you should. Like again, you're at a stage in your sort
Can
of
I ask you
YouTube.
something?
Yeah, of course.
Did you feel that you were watching the same channel, for example, between the Veritasium 2 and the Nerdwriter one? like my idea behind it is, did you know who you're watching or like what you were watching?
I definitely got the same stylistic feel in terms of like the jokes you made and the way you presented the information. Um,
Yeah.
so I did of those three personally prefer the up video the most. Um, Partially because I just found the information the most interesting, like especially the circles and squares. That was really cool. Um,
I find that incredible too. That's
yeah, very cool. Um, yeah, I mean, like I I wish in a sense I
sorry
could
for
give you a
putting you on the
better
spot, by the way.
answer. No. I this is like you should be putting me on the spot. I wish I could give you a better answer than just go for it. But like I genuinely believe that the more you create content and discover what it is you enjoy creating, you'll naturally solidify your style.
Like that was my process too, but it's nice to like not someone in my head talking, but like somebody on the screen. You
Yeah,
know?
no, yeah, no, definitely. I think they're still fine. Like, I think it would have been nice to see your face a little more in the Nerd Writer video. Like, I think it's a little weird that every single video has featured your face except for that one. And you weren't like not showing your face for any like emphasized dramatic effect. You were just not showing your face because like you didn't show your face. I think it would have been nice to have seen
Yeah.
your face at some point in the video, but I still thought it was fine.
Okay, because I was thinking of doing a similar one, but about like Avatar: Legend of Aang, and it was coming soon. I'm like currently scripting it,
Uh-huh.
but like this helps. I could put like a scene on it where like my face is there, where like I talk to the camera instead of like just
Yeah, well,
voiceover.
something else you could do is at the very end, you could just say, hey, like drop the not facade, but like drop the visuals and just say, "Hey, it's Josie. Thanks for watching the video." Blah 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 blah. Right? You can just show your
Yeah,
face at the end. It really depends on what kind of feel you're trying to create. Because if you wanted, you could make every single video from here on out with just visuals, and then people would say, "Oh, look at the old days where he did stuff so different, where he showed his face." It really depends on what you want to do, right?
okay.
And
I
then
do
so
enjoy showing my face. I like
yeah,
that sounds awfully selfish, but
no, it's not. It's not. I mean, it's way easier than making visuals for editing, and it's fun to
that
see yourself.
that
And I
is
guess
true.
yeah, and then the last thing I'll say before I talk about something else. So Kojito says maybe research how to frame shots and use a consistent style with that. And he that's kind of similar to what we were talking about with like, are you going to be always standing? Are you going to be walking? Like, how are you going to be in the camera compared to whatever you're talking about? But then he also says, I really like when you had the scientist clone and maybe implement that more. I haven't personally seen that so I can't offer any input on that, but if that's helpful for you. And Kojito also just says the nerd writer does something similar. He appears at the end and just thanks the audience. So, you could
Yeah.
also just make a whole video with nothing but visuals, and then at the end be like, hey, thanks for watching the video, blah, 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 right?
Okay.
Yeah. Cool. Also, I have a question. For the video about revolving around the Earth, did you do the animations that were in that video?
I did not.
Okay, I was gonna say they were I was impressed with them.
No, I did not do the animations. There were GIFs that I found online for like public domain.
Okay, still, they looked very nice. Um,
Thank you.
cool.
I know how to Google stuff, apparently.
Perfect. I've actually never. I don't know. I haven't really thought about doing that much in my videos. Maybe I should. Um, okay,
It
cool.
takes a lot of time.
Oh, I bet. Okay, so let's try to talk about this last big idea, and then we can hit on some of the smaller ideas, or I can just like give you some remaining thoughts I have because we've actually been going for an hour already, which is really cool.
We have, yes. Thank you, by the way,
Yeah.
for
Yeah, of
taking the
course.
time.
Yeah, I looked up before because my girlfriend walked in and just grabbed like I think her computer, which was in here. But okay, cool. So I guess okay, I'm gonna write this down as I say it. Next topic, like basically growth. Like, how do I get my videos to be viewed by
That
people who are
YouTube.
my family friends?
Yes.
Right? And this
So, like,
is kind of go ahead.
I know, like, what I've tried to like experience is that people that know me personally
Mhm.
can go through my videos because they know me, they know how I talk, they know where I'm going, and they know my type of comedy, and they either enjoy it or they do not, and they're not my friends.
Okay.
But so how do I, for somebody that's like starts looking, how do I convey that personality in like a shorter amount of time, like in the first minute or something, to get them hooked? Or if they don't like it, then too bad. But
Sure. I think there's two issues at play, and
yes.
you're thinking about it as you're thinking about it as a personality-based thing, and
Sure.
it's not always like some people will click on a video because there is interesting content, and they don't really care about the personality. Like Vsauce is a
Yeah.
cool and nice dude. I've met him in person at VidCon, but he's not really a personality. Like you don't really click on Vsauce videos to see the funny or quirky things he's gonna do. You click on them because they're always really interesting,
Yes.
right? And so like you shouldn't be thinking about attracting other people as like how do I make my personality shine. Okay, sorry. You shouldn't be thinking about attracting other people solely as how do I make my personality shine through. Because
Okay.
I think it's important to like be a warm and interesting person and generally just not a dick. Like a lot of people, like people aren't going to click on a video and stay if the content is boring. Like you could be a really nice dude. You could be like an interesting dude. You could be a really funny dude. But if nothing nice, interesting, or funny happens in the video, why would you stay there? Unless you're a friend or family member.
Yeah.
Right? Like you can be an interesting person, you can be a funny person. That doesn't mean the video you're going to create is interesting or funny necessarily.
Okay.
So while I think you should continue being the like laughy and friendly person you certainly seem to be, you shouldn't think about this in terms of like you shouldn't think about this solely in terms of how do I get my personality to shine through, because frankly a big part of it is what you're creating interesting or funny.
Okay.
Or relevant or blah blah blah, right?
Okay, like
And
focus on the content and let's it flow through the personality than the personality flowing through the content.
I don't know if I'd say it like that. I would just say, honestly, what I would say in terms of personality is just like be yourself.
Okay.
Like you seem like a fun and nice dude. I would just say be yourself, right? Like have fun, make jokes, be excited. Like personality wise, I'd say be yourself. Content wise, I'd say make it as interesting and clickable as possible. Like I don't necessarily think, or at least I haven't thought much about whether personality flows through content or vice versa. I would really just say like be yourself and make cool content. And I get that that's like, I hope that's helpful.
It's like it's good to hear it from someone else other than myself, because that's what I was striving for.
Sure.
It's like just be myself. I'm like on camera, like I want to talk about the things I like. I was just trying I was trying hard not to try hard, you know?
Yeah, no, that's good. I think we can very easily fall into this trap of like, oh, I'm on camera, I'm in public, I have to make myself this really, really interesting person. And
Yeah.
sometimes that works for people. Sometimes it works for people. Sometimes it works briefly, but you get burnt out or you feel like a fake. And sometimes it doesn't work and people can see you're just being fake. And my approach to it is just like, I'm going to be myself. And
Okay.
I just don't know what else I would do.
It's fine.
Like
I know.
I just wouldn't worry about, oh, what was that?
Yeah, I know. Like my goals were like very broad, and like I didn't expect like to do this. You know, it depends on the person, but it's good to hear it from like someone else. And the chat, I'm not sure if they're still on.
Well, they'll watch this later. They can always comment.
Yeah.
And, you know,
Hi,
since we're talking, yeah, and since we mentioned before, prompting audience engagement within the narrative of everything, since people will be watching this later, you know, please leave feedback about anything we've talked about now. And that was Finn.
Hey guys, comment down below. What do you think?
Yeah, just like for the questions we've talked about, you know, the topics we went over. You don't have to do all of them. That'd be ridiculous. But if there was anything that stood out to you, share it. Josie and I would love to see it. But so yeah, in terms of like personality or content, I would really just say be yourself and make cool content. Yeah.
Sounds like the goal of YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean it's interesting because I don't know, with very, very, very few exceptions, no one gets to be known or popular or discovered on YouTube unless their content is good. Even if someone got super lucky and got discovered really early and they only have 10 videos, but they have 1 million subscribers, they still have good content, right? Like,
Yeah.
you could have 1,000 videos, um,
Of people
and
chugging water and
yeah,
tons
and
of
even that guy
drivers.
has some subscribers. But I don't know, that's maybe not the best example. But like, my point is,
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
like you just have to make content that other people want to watch. It's just really
Yeah.
as simple as that. Yeah. And like there's a lot more in-depth stuff to that, but that's kind of the basic thing.
Can I put you on the
Okay,
spot
I don't
again?
want to go just yet, but I will have to go probably within 15-ish minutes. So
Yeah, that's fine.
do you want to use this time to like ask me any other specifics? Some things I wrote down were, oh boy, like some stuff with your analytics, but there's also, you could look at stuff like thumbnails or titles or channel art, which I think your channel art is on point. I think it's really like solid.
Yeah. I got my cousin to do it.
Yeah, no, it looks really nice. Up there, we could talk about like music or like visual things I noticed. But, like, is there anything in particular you want to ask me? Because I will probably head out in 15 minutes.
It's fine. Like if you need to go, whatever.
Well,
like,
yeah, I got a little bit of time.
No, I just like again general questions. Like, for example, you mentioned that you watched some of my videos, and can you see like a progression from them? Because I feel like I'm progressing a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But can you see like a definite or like a nice progression of like improvement? So like we've talked about like the Veritasium 2 and the Nerd Writer, which I feel like
Yeah,
I'm most proud of.
sure. Those two videos, the Nerd Fighter video and the Veritasium video.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So in all honesty, I actually kind of watched your videos out of order, but
Okay.
but no. Okay. So definitely your favorite video of mine was the Nerd Writer one.
I agree with that. I really like doing that one, researching. And researching, I meant just looking it up like 10 times.
Yeah. I think honestly, like the way videos, I think videos are videos can be very hit and miss in terms of what you want to convey. Like I thought the Nerdfighter one was really cool. I thought like some of the other ones were pretty cool, but I thought the Nerdfighter one was like way better than the Veritasium 2 one.
Interesting.
And so like I think it's unrealistic to expect that.
No, like,
Okay, for everything,
you're not gonna like all my videos.
it's not that's not what I'm saying exactly. It's more like that video didn't resonate with me. But I guess what I'm trying to say is that while you should certainly aim to improve every video, different things are like gonna resonate with different people. So
Yeah.
you know, I'm trying to figure out a better way to say this, like a more concise way to say this. Basically, you know how sometimes you get videos that like certain videos will do better than others, and you're like, that's surprising to me. Or you'll put out a video and you think would do really well and be like, it's surprising to me that that didn't do well. You know?
Yeah.
Like you sort of learn just through, I don't know, I still don't know the correct way to say this. I'm not saying this, I'm not communicating the idea I want to be communicating right now. I don't know. I guess as long as you feel like with every video you're getting a little better or noticing things that can be fixed, and then you make a step to do that and fix it, that's really good. Like I personally liked your second most recent video way more than your more recent one, but that's partially because of my own personal preferences, right? That's not necessarily because like you leveled down. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah.
Again, this was like a nice experimentation stage. So like feedback from like each video that's good always helps for future videos.
Mm-hmm.
So like again, I did experimentation to know how to make something or like how to improve upon something, and yeah, you know, going forward from here, I like to use these couple videos as a learning curve. So it's good to know what other people think and what other, like somebody other than myself looking at the video.
Yeah, and you know, part of that too is like analytics and comments, and you know, that's sort of where you have the opportunity to ask people in the comments, hey, what did you like about this video compared to blah 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 blah, or like, was there anything that stood out to you in this?
Okay.
And you know, maybe it turns out that just like there are more people in the world who want to learn about Pixar's Up, or are more likely to click on that than there are about how can you show that the Earth revolves around blah blah blah, or whatever it is, right? But yeah, as long as you're okay, here's what I'll say in terms of like improving your content. Since I wasted like 15 minutes sputtering about it, like when you produce a video and you release it, like write down a list of things that you think you could have done better and want to improve for next time. Don't just make a mental note of it. Don't be like, oh, I see that, let's do it better. Like keep an actual list of things that you want to do better, and then when you're like writing or filming your next video,
go back,
look at that list, or when you're editing it, right? Because an issue I find sometimes is that like I don't say something in the way that I want to. Oh, Mr. Beat, I agree with that. Something I find with my videos, Josie, is that like you can do whatever you want in editing, but you can't change the tone with which you say something. And very frequently, there'll be times when I say something and it's like, man, I wish I put more emphasis on this word. I wish I had said this differently. And that's something you can't change. And that is something you could have more control over if you were like looking at a checklist while you did a video, or just keeping a mental note of this is something I said I wanted to change, so let me try and do this again while doing it this way.
Okay, yeah. That's a great idea, by the way. I think I might start doing that. I'm like gonna binge watch my videos and see like what can I do better.
Yeah, right. And that's actually something that I also plan on doing, because I haven't actually made a video since June. I'm gonna put my next one out in September and then make a more consistent schedule. But yeah, and then so Mr. B says something interesting.
Yeah, I just read.
Yeah. Ultimately,
well, thank you, Mr. B.
But that is an interesting point. The one I think maybe we don't want to spend a ton of time talking about right now. Okay, yeah.
It's broad topic, so it's fine. Also, if you need to leave,
I have. Oh well, I still have like 8 minutes, but I have other small things I could say. Do you have any other questions? I could just rattle off some small things, but what do you want to do with these last little bit of time?
No, give me everything. I think.
Okay. Check my notes. So I was taking notes while watching your videos. Oh, okay. So one thing I noticed while watching your videos, specifically the potato fire video and then the speaker video.
Yep.
Is like I wasn't really sure what message you were trying to convey. Like I use this word a lot, but I didn't really get what the narrative on those videos were. And let me explain what I mean. The speaker video is titled "How Do Speakers Work?" Right? Yep. And you sort of talk about it a little bit in the beginning, but then basically spend your time building your own. And I feel like
it's like clickbaity.
Not really. I just feel like it's, I don't know. I feel like a better title for the video would have been something like
"How to Make Your Own Speakers Work."
Yeah, like DIY build a speaker - how do speakers work? Or something like that, right? Like I feel like I just like wasn't entirely sure what you wanted me to take from that video, because it was like the video started and it was like here's how a speaker works, and I was like cool, and then I'm like, oh, why is he building a speaker now? So like
I asked myself the same question too.
Yeah, and part of it, part of it is that like you can certainly use initial questions to a viewer, right? Like how does a speaker work is great, but then it seems like a bit of a shift to go from this is how speakers work to okay, now let's build one together. About
Okay, I
things
see what you're saying.
like maybe a more a shift that would have made more sense or have been less jagged in the viewer's perception would have been like, here's how a speaker works, and now here's how this other similar related thing works, and that's like, and here's how we use these other similar related things, and like just tie it all back in some way, right? Mr. Beat sort of said
Okay.
not focused enough. And I guess I would agree with that. It was more like there were pockets of deep focus, but I didn't see how they were connected to one another.
Okay,
And then
I can see going to that.
yeah, and then so similarly with the potato fries video. So the title was something like, shoot, what was it? It was best shape for optimal potato fries, surface area over volume ratio, right? And
Yeah.
so like I'm watching this, and I understand why surface area over volume, that ratio is important. But to someone who doesn't, they would be watching this entire video being like, I don't get why he's talking about these variables. Like, what does this have to
Okay.
do with anything, right? And obviously, I can tell you now that like you'd want more surface area, you'd want a higher surface area to volume ratio in terms of like the crispy
Yes.
outside for optimal taste, right? Like I can tell you that because of my prior knowledge. But someone watching your video would be like, why does he even care about surface area over volume? Like that's in the title of your video and you didn't explain it at all in the video.
Okay.
And then I'm tearing this video apart. And then like after not explaining why that was important, you then spend like the next 40% or the rest of the video just eating them. And I was like, this is just so strange. Like, what are we even optimizing here? Are we optimizing the shape of the potatoes? Are we optimizing the taste? Your sister used like different variables in eating them than you talked about in the beginning of the video. It was like crisp and a bunch of other things, right?
I remember recording it and like not having like the clearness of this. Like I remember just doing it. I'm like, oh, let's do this because for fun. And then like while recording, then like after like in the editing section, I'm like, wow, I needed some clearness into this. Like I was not consistent at all with like the judgment.
Yeah, and so again, it's more like just the video was so interesting, but I was watching it, and I remember I'm watching the video. I'm like, I just don't get what's happening in this video. So that's
it's fine. I know that video. I watch it and I'm like, I could have done so much better.
Yeah, and so that's sort of how I frame when I frame like videos to myself. I spend a ton of time on the script because to me, like the organization of the video, the narrative of the video is so important. Like in my personal view, because if people don't understand why you're talking about this or how one thing leads into the other, the whole thing can fall apart, right? Like you didn't explain something that was in your title, and then the second half of the video was
just eating potatoes.
Like loosely related to what the video was about.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, and then so actually,
work on the structure of the video, which I really worked on like on these past two.
Yeah, and that's good, right? Yeah, and I think too another example is even finding a way to tie it together. So like with the up video, you sort of with the up video, you sort of talked about, okay, here's the first half, and it's about how they used music, and then it's like second half, here's how they use shapes, and then it kind of just ends. And I was thinking like, how does this all come together? Like you could have just even if it were a 3 or 4 sentence thing, or excuse me, like a 1 or 2 sentence thing, like Up is one of the movies I like the most because it has this like unique relationship with music and shapes that I don't see in other movies, and that's why I didn't make a video about other movies, right?
I see what you're saying.
Like, it just like I just didn't see it. Like it was still really cool, but even from the beginning, it was kind of like, hey, I like Up. Here's how it uses music, and it's like, okay, but how does that relate to shapes? Like, why is this coming after? I don't get it.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Just like a better structure to the videos.
Yeah,
which
and it can be.
I started this channel again because I needed some practice with that. I know that my communication skills and like my English and like my essay writing has always been a weak point, and this was like a fun way to like work on it. So you telling me this, it like I know that I have to work on it, and it's good to hear it from someone else and have constructive criticism on that.
Yeah, And so like you can actually see in the comments. And again, I'm not like don't feel like I'm harping on you because I've been there. Like I still
It's fine.
focus
I can take
so much.
criticism. Don't worry.
Yeah, well that's a really good aspect. That's a really good quality to have too, right? But I still spend like so much time crafting the script and the organization of the narrative of the piece because like if one thing's out of place, it can make someone pause and be like, I don't get it. Like, why is this important or something? But
Okay.
we can see in the chat too. So Mr. Beats sort of agreeing with what I'm saying, which is like narrative's important. Yes. Kujito says try and plot your videos with the beginning, middle, end. It helps focus your message. Yeah, that could certainly help. Okay, wait. And so Kojito also said one thing he noticed is that your tags could be more SEO optimized. And then I asked him to explain that because I actually wasn't entirely sure what he meant by that. And he said the 500 characters you get. So rather than typing speakers and science, they work better as the science of speakers or how do speakers work as a single tag.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
like
that's what I mentioned. Oh, go ahead.
I haven't done the SEO, but like by far the better SEO video is how speakers work, because people actually Google how speakers work.
Yeah, so you can use Google Trends for that stuff. Personally, Josie, something that I ask myself is like if I saw my video thumbnail and title in a related videos tab, would I click on it? And there have been videos I've made where I look back on them and it was like, I would not click on this. If I saw it in a related video tab to a video I was watching, I wouldn't click on it. Like my law of small numbers video, like I think that's an appropriate title, and I don't know if I would change it based on what I just said. But if I didn't know what the law of small numbers was, and I saw a video in the related thumbnails or related videos called the law of small numbers, I wouldn't click on it. So it's great that people did, but like my point in mentioning that is like one, that's sort of the philosophy I follow, but two, it's still not like there are always exceptions. Mr. Beat also said TubeBuddy every tag. Do you know what TubeBuddy is?
Yes, I do use TubeBuddy.
Yeah. Yeah, and so sort of what they're talking about and what I'm mentioning right now, just with the titles of your videos, like I just always, use TubeBuddy, use Google Trends. I always just think like, is this something I would click on? Like how you can show that not everything revolves around Earth. When I'm looking at it, it has ellipses because it's like too long and it cuts off, right? And like
I didn't notice that.
Yeah, and that's something that I like. Right now, it has ellipses when I'm looking at it because it cuts off. So that's just a brief example of that. But how Pixar's up uses shapes and music. Yeah. But yeah, I think like your banner art's super great. I just noticed that again because I'm looking at your videos.
Yeah, you did a great job.
Yeah. The globe plus mustache. I like it. But yeah, I think like I certainly don't think the thumbnails are bad. I guess they could probably be like, I don't know. Thumbnails have honestly never been like my forte, and there are so many different opinions about thumbnails. Like the general idea is that you want to put your face in them and just have something that's like grabs your attention.
Yeah.
And again,
I've heard a lot about like arrows. Just put an arrow. Just.
Yeah. And again, it might not be the best philosophy. TubeBuddy's tag explore option. Yeah, Mr. B. It might not be the best philosophy, but like mine is just, would I click on this video if I saw it next to like a related video I was watching by an unknown creator? Would I click on it? And that's sort of what I think for thumbnails, because like it's insane to me how many videos I've made, and then once I started like thinking about that idea and question, I looked back on them and I was like, why would I ever do this?
The struggle is real.
Yeah, but so okay, so yeah, I gotta roll, but I guess just like to super briefly sum up the stuff we talked about, like these summaries will not do them justice, but make them, how to make a more active comment session. Like think about like why you want to engage people. Like, do you want them to just say, I loved your stuff? Or do you want them to like continue the conversation? Or do you want them to like offer something as part of them learning, right? So thinking about that, comments and like visual audio, like your phone seems great. Your phone seems better than the other stuff you've been using. But like test it, like spend an hour out of one of your days and record a bunch of different things with your phone and this mic and this camera and whatever, and give them to your family to listen to. And then, oh, also then for presentation style, like cutting out the dead space and also just
that's
finding your style, which that will take time, right? Like there's no way to streamline that unless you just make like tons of content.
No, I don't have the capabilities of doing that yet.
Yeah, no, yeah, and that's understandable. You know, can you create an experience with a variation in topic and style? Topic, 100%. Style, still basically, yeah, but I mean, your stuff is pretty similar stylistically. The only thing you've done that's relatively different is that comedy sketch video and the Nerd Writer one. And if you just showed your face at the end of the Nerd Writer one, it really wouldn't have been that different. I didn't mention this before, but there are some videos I've done where like I started out with my face in the beginning, and just because of the nature of what I was talking about, because it needed so many visuals, I like barely appeared throughout the whole video, but I was still there.
Okay, that's
yeah. And then you sort of said, how do I get your videos to be viewed by people who don't already know me in terms of like personality and content creation? You're like, you seem like a nice dude, you seem like a friendly dude. Be yourself and just focus on making cool content. There's obviously tons of stuff too, like, oh, how do you promote yourself? And like social media and analytics, and yes, that's important. But more important, I think, is to like just make good content. And then, you know, once you sort of get that down a little more, and I'm not saying you have bad content now, but like once you start feeling yourself like you're making really good content, then you can focus more on stuff like, all right, now let's promote this or blah, 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 blah. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much.
Cool. Yeah.
I
hope this was helpful.
It was a really, really helpful, man.
Awesome. Great. Well, I'm glad you joined me because this turned a monologue into a conversation, which I would have rather had. So that's great. And yeah, here, I guess I'll just stop.
Thank you, the chat, too.
Yeah, I was about to say the
Mr.
same
Beat,
thing. Thank you for the chat. Mr. Beat, Koji Show, Jade was in there a little before. Thank you to everyone for offering your input. Of course,
and subscribe, guys.
To We Create EDU and Josie Gold, of course. His information is in the description. Yep. And then you hopefully should already be described to We Create EDU. Got to get these last minute plugs in there. No, but thanks for tuning in, everyone who did, everyone who watches it later. And Josie, I hope this was helpful. And I guess
nice to meet you.
We'll see everyone later. Yeah, nice to meet you too. Bye.